Everyone online says you need to scale with a course. And I say, sell the damn service. I'm Emily Williams, award-winning consultant and productized offer expert since 2014. And I'm here to help you work less, make more, and stop custom building your burnout. Each week, we talk strategy, structure, and the real stories behind sustainable service businesses. You know, from service providers who like doing service work, who want to stay in service work, but also just make more money. If you're ready for all that yapping, then let's dive in. And so this can go and it'll be good. So
All right.
it'll be
Hopefully the mic sounds good.
yeah, the mic sounds great. No worries. Thank
Okay,
you so much for rescheduling. Sorry to put you back to back calls. I hate doing that.
It's okay.
I'm always like, but I need to pee and get coffee and do something. And then here we are. So how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting? Is this your first day back in the office?
Yes, it is my first day back in the office. This weekend was like the perfect balance between like fun and just relaxing, which I really need because I'm about to enter like my super busy season. I have a lot of traveling going on. I have 2 events that I'm traveling to and I manage for a client. So it felt good to relax. I got to spend some time in the sun, in the pool a little bit because it was like raining on and off.
Yeah.
Hang out with some friends, had barbecue, ate delicious picanha. And and then yesterday I just kind of relaxed. I cleaned up. I put out my candle. Don't think you can see it, but
Yes,
put out my first pumpkin candle so that it's just ready. I'm ready for the fall season.
Same. It has been like kind of cooling down here and a little bit rainy, and this is my favorite season. And I think I'm gonna make a pumpkin spiced like syrup, simple syrup at home. 'Cause I haven't been going to the coffee shops lately. I have my own espresso machine. I've been making all the syrups, and so I think I'm gonna make that this week. And I cannot wait.
Yeah, same. Like I just saw someone on Instagram post there is like a pumpkin spice cold foam. And I'm like, I need it immediately, especially because it's like I'm in Florida. It's still pretty hot over here. So I'm still doing iced coffee.
You have to make your own fall vibes.
Literally, I'm tricking myself into believing that it's fall because it's my favorite season. At least it's like rainy over here, even though it's still hot. So I'm still getting that bit of a cozy vibe. And I'm a huge like Harry Potter and Twilight fan, so that's all I need.
We just exposed our daughter, she's almost 9, to Twilight recently. She's watched all the movies now, and I kind of forgot like how violent the last movie is in that sequence. And we were watching it, and it had been it had been years since I had seen it. I've read the books. I watched it like over and over again. But for some reason, I forgot. This is a spoiler alert for the final Twilight movie. If you haven't watched it, I'm sorry. But there's a scene at the very end where they're fighting, right? And everyone is dying. Like everyone is dying. And they're chopping heads off. They're burning vampires. Wolves are dying. I am crying. I'm literally crying. And my daughter's looking at me. She's like, Mama, you said I could watch this. And I was like, I know. I'm sorry. Like, it feels really violent. And then all of a sudden, we realize it's Alice's premonition instead of what actually happened. And both her and I were like, oh my God, I'm so happy that they're not dead. But I was like, how did I forget that is not actually what happens? And then
it's so funny. Yeah, because the same thing happens to me. And like I'm a diehard Twilight fan. Like I watch it almost every year.
I love this for you.
Every time it gets me. Every time. And it's like, I know, but it gets me.
When they chop off Carlisle's head, sobbing. I just
literally
sobbing. I hate it.
It's so funny watching the movies now because obviously, like, they're so old. The production wasn't the best. Like, they're a little cringy, but they're so good.
There's just something
so good. I, like, know the lines, so I'm, like, reciting them.
Are you down the rabbit hole of Twilight Fifty Shades of Grey being fan fiction or like one or the other being fan fiction of the other one. Have you watched them in tandem?
I have not. I
Okay,
have heard some like
your
chatting on social media, but I haven't.
your next rainy weekend, what I challenge you to do is watch a 50 Shades and then the Twilight, and then 50 Shades and then the Twilight, and watch them in order. And I made my husband do this was sometime during COVID when we were so bored out of our mind.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, we're gonna do this tandem movie experience because there's so many conspiracies about how one is fan fiction of the other." And you can
Mm.
see how, like, there's literal scenes in 50 Shades that are mirror scenes from Twilight. And you know the scene in Twilight where he, like, pushes the car away in the parking lot from hitting her, and he's,
Mhm.
like, it's crouched down and he hits it. Well,
Yeah.
she's, like, wearing a certain outfit and she says a certain phrase, and then he does this movement that nearly frame for frame thing happens in 50 Shades, but it's a taxi that, like, almost hits her when she's crossing the street, and he,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
crouches in the same way and, like, does something, and she's wearing a similar outfit and she says something very similar. And there's, like, other scenes too, but they are mirror images of each
Now I
other.
need to watch it because I only watched the first movie of the 50 Shades of Grey. I haven't watched the other ones, and now I'm like,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I need to watch them all.
Well,
I
and
need to
then,
know
like,
this.
Dorian is all like, is that his name? He's like, "You can't tell anyone what I am," and she's like,
Christian?
Christian. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Christian.
She's like, "I know what you are." Like, there's a
The
like, very
that is my
similar
favorite
element.
scene. That is my favorite scene of Twilight. Like me and my one of my friends, like we're both like huge Twilight fan. We like send each other memes.
Yes.
I know
I
what
know
you
what you
are.
are.
It's so good.
I love this about you. Okay, this has been Twilight Corner. So now that you know that about us, okay, I want to talk business because I think that you are in such a cool position where when we started the conversation about what the heck to talk about on this show, you
Mhm.
were like, "Oh, I have this business, and oh, don't worry, I've also done this business, and I've done this, and I have these things." And so I think it's really cool, and I want to hear your perspective. You run an agency now, yes?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I wanna hear about the other businesses that you've been a part of and kind of the evolution of that because I've equally been a part of a handful of different endeavors that have had success to different degrees. And I am
Mhm.
now on my own again. And I'm not in an agency. I don't have a team anymore, but I've led that before. And
Mhm.
so I would love to hear from you. Like, just give me the kind of timeline, so to speak, of
Mhm.
what's going on. And then I want to pick apart some of the nuances.
Yeah, of course. So I feel like this sounds so cliche, but I do feel like I was born to be an entrepreneur. Like
Same, 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 same.
I started my first business, quote unquote, when I was like in second grade. I will make
Yeah,
jewelry and I will sell it in school.
I was
Like,
selling those butterfly hair clips.
oh my
I made custom
god.
color packs and you could pick them. You could not get them
Oh
at the
my
store.
god.
Mhm.
That is so funny. Yeah, so that was kind of like my first introduction into like doing something for yourself, right? Doing
Yeah.
something on your own. And I do have to thank my parents for always like supporting all my ideas. And I have ADHD, and when you have ADHD, you pick up a different hobby every week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they support every single one of them. And
Mhm.
my dad was a business owner back in my country. I'm from Venezuela. He was a business owner, and he had a very, very successful business. But he always raised me, mm, telling me, like, you're not going to come here into my business and like start from the top. Like, if you want
Right.
to do this, you will start from the bottom, from the call center, like your cousins, like everyone else.
Yep.
This is my business. This is my money. I will
I did
spend my
this.
money.
Yeah.
Like I did this.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to achieve in life, like you're going to work for it, right?
Mhm.
And my dad comes from a very low income family. Like he started working when he was 15, and he hustled and he worked really hard to get
Yeah.
to where he was and to have a very successful business. So I never grew up with this mentality of like things are going to be handed to me.
Mhm,
Even though we
mhm.
were pretty well off and we're in a good financial situation, everything that was given to us, we earned it, right? Whether it
Yeah.
was with our schoolwork, with our behavior, etc. Like it wasn't that my parents were coming home with like gifts and things every day. So I always had the mentality since I was really little that whatever I wanted in life, I was gonna have to work for it, and I'm very grateful for that because I have
Yeah.
so many friends that grew up in a different situation where they didn't weren't raised with that responsibility of like having ownership of your life and of
Yep.
your future. And then they
The
grew
the
up
grit
and
of that is
yeah,
necessary. Yeah.
exactly. And and then you grow up and your parents all of a sudden are not there to pick
You're
up the
like, "Wait a
pieces for
minute."
you and you're like, wait, what's going on?
Yep.
So I'm very grateful for that. And from there to like out of high school, like I tried so many different things. I was always the kind of person that in every job that I had, like I moved up very quickly. I'm a
Yep.
fast learner. I love learning. I don't like feeling stuck. Like I hate
Sure.
feeling like I'm stuck, like I'm trapped. Like I love learning something new. I love doing something new. And right out of high school, I got into door to door sales, which I hated it. I absolutely hated that job. But looking back at it, I
You
got
learned
so many
so much.
skills. Oh my
Yes.
God, so much, so much. And I didn't see it back then. I was only there for 6 months and I was like, I'm never doing sales ever again in my life. And
Mhm.
look at me now. I have
Look
two
at
sales
us
for a
now
living.
selling all the time.
Literally selling every day. But I learned so many things. And one of the main things is that it really build a tough skin because when you're out
Yes.
there in the Miami sun, knocking door to door, selling cable and internet,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people telling you no 24/7, like
Slamming
you,
doors in your face. Yeah.
you learn some tough skin. So after that, I had a couple of office jobs. And one thing that I kept finding myself was working around building like organization systems, just like creating a structure, because that's the only way that my brain works. And
Yeah.
I didn't understand it back then because I didn't know how to
You're
ADHD.
like,
I
I
didn't know
just this is
that
how it
is
is.
just the way my brain works. Like
Yeah.
I'm constantly like putting puzzles together in my brain, like
Mhm.
all the time. So I started seeing the patterns and to at that time, like the person that I was dating, which I met through this sales job, he had his own office and he needed help with like admin stuff and social media. So it was like doing those things. And right before the pandemic, I was like, I'm tired of jumping from job to job. I'm never, I felt like I was never going to find a job where I fit in because I was always going to hit a ceiling.
Yep.
You get
Yep.
what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
Like I was always going to hit, especially in corporate, like I was always gonna hit a place where I was gonna plateau and I wasn't gonna move up from there.
Right.
And I just kept feeling like I wanted more. Like I didn't wanna, wake up every day, go to a job, be miserable. Like I wanted to do something on my own. So I started researching and like Googling, like, what can I do? And this was right before the pandemic hit in 2019. I had, I think in 2019, I started attempting drop shipping way before drop shipping became a thing.
Uh-huh.
And it was popular and like there was zero information about it. So I had no idea what I was doing. And that was like my first introduction to paid ads. Now it all ties in together.
Yep.
And that didn't go very well and I had no idea what I was doing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pause this
Uh-huh.
and let me find something else. And I
Just
was
casually in the world of drop shipping and figuring out that is a beast in and of itself.
yes, and like
Hilarious.
this was 2019 where like there was only a few people doing it. There wasn't a million coaches, on drop shipping. There
No,
wasn't a
it's like
million courses
Printful
like
and like one other location. Yeah.
yeah, and like there wasn't the information that that it's out there. Like I was like YouTubing and there was like maybe 2 YouTube videos about drop shipping. I'm like,
Mhm.
what am I doing? But I love a
You gotta
challenge.
try.
Yeah. So in that adventure of me trying to figure out like what am I gonna do with my life, I found out about virtual assistants and I
Mhm.
realized that a lot of the skills that virtual assistants have, like I have. It's what
Yeah.
I've been doing for the last couple of years, managing tasks. I had to book like airplane tickets for like our team for like the conferences and like all of these things. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try. And I
Yeah,
made an Instagram account for it, and I started selling, my just offering like, hey, do you need virtual assistant support? Like, here I am. And I don't even remember, like, back then Instagram was such a different monster to like what it
yeah,
is now. And it was
yeah,
so much easier to like reach out to people and like be
yeah.
seen. But
So
without me
so did you
even
just direct message people?
I not even. I was just posting content.
Yeah,
I've always loved content. I've always loved content creation. Like, I did YouTube when I was in high school. Like, I have
yeah,
always like just loved that realm. So I just showed up on Instagram and I will post every day. Like, I'm building my
yeah,
website and like I'm doing
yeah,
this and I'm doing that, and just showing up on stories and then creating posts. And again, it was a lot easier back then
yeah.
to
Even,
like,
like, 5 years ago feels like yesterday when, like, COVID has completely warped how time feels.
yeah.
But, like, truly, technology today from even 5 years ago has been
It's
such
yeah,
an insane growth. So, yeah,
yeah,
I was on Instagram back in, like, 2011, and so it has been
yeah.
it's had many
It's
iterations.
many, so I was like, I was posting, on my personal Instagram, I was posting on the
Yeah,
virtual assistant Instagram, and I was sharing. And I don't even know how I ended up in it was right when the pandemic happened and everyone just kind of went online. Like, fitness
yeah,
coaches had to go online, people had no idea what they were doing,
yeah,
and a lot of businesses had to pivot into a world that they weren't familiar with. And
yeah,
this was when the boom of coaching, started or became more popular or mainstream, if that
yeah.
makes sense, because coaching has always existed, but not in the way that it is now.
Everyone was a
And that
coach.
was
Yeah.
everyone, like, whether they had experience or not,
Uh-huh.
everyone became a coach. So it was very interesting. But I was already there. I was
Yeah,
already I think it was just God's timing. Like, I was there before COVID happened. So when COVID happened and everyone went
yeah.
online, I took the opportunity
You're
and
like,
I
"I
ran
got
with
you."
it. I'm like, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm here. And COVID, how old was I during COVID? I was probably like 23, I think, at that time, 23,
Mhm.
24. And with COVID, like, me being locked up, I couldn't party, I couldn't go out, couldn't
Right,
do
you're like, "I
anything.
can
I
go
was like,
out."
I can do anything. So I was like, all right. I learned as much. Like, every time I was on social media and I like saw the mention of a new platform, Kajabi, Kartra, Teachable, like
Yeah.
all of them, I'll be like, free trial. And I would just play with them. I'll watch YouTube
Yes.
videos. Like, I just learned, I consume so much um content about all these different platforms, all the CRM systems, email marketing, and I built what was Moonlight Studio, which was like my first. It wasn't an agency, but because we only did like OBM, virtual
Mhm.
assistant, project management, like systems per se. And that's kind of how it got started.
Yeah,
Within 6 months, I was able to quit my job. I was taking months. I hit my six figures,
yeah,
whatever. But I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I
yeah,
knew how to do the work. I knew
yes,
how to deliver to my clients. I was great at it, but I had no idea how to run a business.
yes.
And I had no idea everything that Intel, like, you got taxes. Then I had to start building a team because I couldn't do it everything on my own. Like, I had so much demand. I had so much work. And I truly had an issue with delegating, even though,
Yeah.
like, theoretically, like, I understood that it was needed. I am such I hate the word perfectionist because,
I
you know,
right.
but
But you're like, "This
I
is my method, and I have figured out what works, and I don't
ex-
know how to communicate that to someone else."
exactly. And
Yeah,
like, even deeper than that, it's also like a pride in my work. And it's like
absolutely.
everything that's being done, it's my name out there.
Yep,
It's my face. Like, I am, it's not like there's a company, like, I'm the face of my business.
yep,
Everyone is coming to my business because of me, because of my reputation. So having somebody else do the work for me was just so scary.
yeah,
And it just turned out on, I'm human and I had to find that out the hard way.
yeah,
And I burned out so bad.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bad.
How
And
many clients did you have before you brought on your first team member?
oh my God. I think I was at probably 4 retainer clients.
Yeah.
Um, and I will take quite a few like project based,
Yep.
uh, every month. Now, we have to understand something. I had no idea how to create an offer back
Right.
then.
You were
Like
just doing.
I
Yeah.
was just doing things.
Yeah.
So I had 5 clients. It did, retainer clients. It didn't mean that I had the capacity for it because
Right.
the way that my packages, quote unquote, were created, it wasn't thinking about like, okay, this is, gonna take me this amount of time to
Mhm.
complete this work. So it wasn't because I didn't understand that and I
Right.
didn't have the knowledge. So I was just putting
Just
things
saying
together.
yes
I'm
to what
like,
yep.
yeah, literally, like
Yep.
just saying yes. I was like, you need me to do this and this and this and this. I got you. I'm the girl.
Well,
Don't worry. You
and I
know?
think that that's appropriate if you know and can trust in yourself that you're going to fulfill on that and you're going to provide good work no matter what. And I think that
Yeah.
you knew that about yourself. You were like,
Hmm.
okay, I understand that I might be overextending myself. You probably at some point were aware that you were doing that and you were
Hmm.
doing it anyways. Because I think there's some point in every business owner's life where I am overextending myself. And at this moment for this season, I'm okay with that because I can
Hmm.
trust myself that I'm actually going to deliver. And I'm
Yeah.
going to pay attention to what do I need to do differently in
Hmm.
this next phase because we know that this can't keep happening.
Exactly. And I think that's where I wasn't being honest with myself or how like exhausted I actually was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then life went back to normal. At least here in Florida, we didn't have that much of a, lockdown or whatever.
Yeah.
And by 2021, like by the end of 2020, things were already pretty normal. But by 2021, like life was back to normal. So was then back to having or attempting to have a social life and juggle having a social life with this monster, that
Yeah.
the person that I was dating at the time, we were doing long distance. I was like traveling to like see him constantly. Like there were all these other factors that I was ignoring, right?
Yeah.
Because at that point in my life and at that point in the space that I was in, all the all the boss was around hitting 10K months, hitting
Yep.
six figures. Like it was such like that was the only way that success was being measured at that point in time, right? It
I
was
have
like
so
if you're
many things on that. Yeah. Mhm.
like if you weren't hitting like 10K months, like you suck, like you weren't
Right.
doing
You're
it
not a
right.
for
Like
real
it
business
was
owner if
you're
you're not doing
yeah,
it. Yeah.
100%. And like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and then you have all this, like the coaching space just like got just so insane, and
Yep.
then you have the other side of the coin where you have some clients that are not that great of a client,
Right. Yeah.
and you have all this. I have horror stories for days.
I bet.
um
Especially in your industry, yeah.
yeah, so it was just a lot to juggle. I had no idea what I was doing,
Yeah.
and I was just like it just got to a point that I didn't even had the like mental capacity to even understand how deep in it I was, because the only
Yeah.
like the little bit of mental capacity that I had was like, I have this many clients, like I need to fulfill this, right? And
Yep.
I'm a very prideful person. Like anything that has my name on it has to be done to like the best of my abilities.
Yep.
Everything else, we'll figure it out. Like I won't eat until this is done,
Right,
which now
right.
I understand it's not
Yeah.
the right way to do
Uh-huh.
things,
Yeah.
you know? But back then I was young and I
For
was
sure.
like, I just want to get my business off the ground. Like, I want to make 100K a year. Like, I want to do this. I want to do that, because by the time that I'm like ready to settle down and have kids, like, I want to have already done all the hustling. And
Yeah.
I didn't know back then that there is another way to do it, you
Mhm,
know?
mhm.
So by what, 2023, beginning of 2023, my I was just in a really, really dark place. I was very depressed. Like I just
Mhm.
had nothing else to give. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't taking care of myself. I was barely working out at that point. I was barely eating. Like I
Yeah.
will wake up, sit down, work, 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 sell, work, work, work. And then the other thing that nobody tells you is that once you have a team, you're responsible for someone else's livelihood.
Yeah.
And that is a big burden to carry, you know? And then it's like now at this point I had um my mom was helping me, which an angel. She
Yeah.
was helping me a lot. One of my cousins was helping me, and then I had two other contractors that were helping with the work. And there was people that I had to pay, so I had to make sure that I had money to pay. And my business at this point was my 100% income, and I have
Yeah.
rent, I have a car to pay, I have insurance, like I have all these bills that need to be paid. It was just so much pressure,
Yep.
and I was just by the time I realized that something had to change, I was so far gone
Yeah.
and I was so burned out and I was so sick. Like I was weighing like 97 pounds at this point. Like
Oh
I was
my
so
gosh.
skinny. I
Yeah.
was like constantly getting sick. I was so stressed. Like a stress, which I ended up finding out later on, it's like the worst thing for me. It basically becomes like like it makes my immune system go like crazy
Yeah.
and I get like inflamed, like all my joints get inflamed, like 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 horrible pain, can't move from my bed type of situation. Like it was
Yeah.
really bad. Um so I made the decision that I couldn't keep going like that and that I needed to stop. I moved back with my parents. I shut down the studio and I just focused on myself. Like I just focused
Yeah.
on trying to be a human being again.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I don't know what it was. And yeah, I went back to a regular 9 to 5
You
job
did.
at an
Okay.
office. Yeah, I did. I stayed with my parents for a few months and I moved with a roommate. Um, yeah, I
You
went to
had a whole
therapy.
reset. A whole
Yeah.
reset.
Yeah, I went to therapy for a year,
Good for you.
and thank you. I am 100% convinced that everyone needs some sort of therapy.
Yes, 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 yes,
Maybe,
yes.
like we unfortunately are not emotionally regulated human
Uh-huh.
beings,
Uh-huh.
or we're given the tools to, do so. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how mm, like my nervous system being dysregulated, how it affects me, not just emotionally,
Yeah.
but physically. The toll that it has on my mental health. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I get
Mhm.
really, really bad depression if I don't, like, it can get really bad if I don't, catch it on time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I did the work. I also really took the time to like understand what if I wanted to do this again, like what needed to happen and how
Yeah.
I was going to make sure I was protecting myself. I learned a lot about what it actually takes to run a business and
Yeah.
not just do the
Yeah.
work for the clients, but like how like do I need like how do I set up my business to protect me, to support me, you
Yep.
know? And in January of this year, I was at a coffee shop with a friend, just hanging out and talking and having conversations. I was like, I think I'm ready. Like, I think I'm ready to do this again. And I had no
Mhm.
idea. Um, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be in service again because that's what I
Yeah.
love. Like I love processes. I love systems. Like my brain just thrives on. And if there's anything I know in life is that I know this is my path.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I spent like 6 hours in there, two cappuccinos in, and I was just I was just
And this
writing.
idea and this.
I was just writing and writing and writing and just like I started like working into this idea. Um that's my dog.
Yeah.
And um Ignite Studio was born in that coffee shop.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it all started. And I
Yeah.
spent months like I did not even announce that my business was coming until the end of April.
Oh.
That was when I first, so like I spent months like doing the work,
Yep.
making sure that everything that I was building was like it made sense and it like that I wasn't gonna be making the same mistakes
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And yeah,
What
and
were
that's
some of
kind of
those
how
changes that you made or were intentional about?
definitely understanding what my limits are, like
Yeah.
having that always in the forefront of my mind. I think, I mean, obviously, like I'm older and I have a different mindset. I am not chasing 10K months anymore. I am not chasing 100K. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. Um, right now, for me, now I'm more about the impact that I'm,
Mm, yeah,
giving to my clients. And then I really took the time to build my brand to understand like what how I want to, come to my clients, want to be how I want to represent my company. And then once I had all of that groundwork done, then it was like, okay, all the things that I do for my clients, I need to do for myself. I got to
yeah,
make sure that I have those systems set on me because what happens is that you start a business and this happens to everyone and it's okay. Like I'm
yeah,
not, shaming anyone. Like it's okay to start a business and you're doing everything on your own. And really that your main priority is always going to be your clients. And I understand not investing on your backend systems and investing on these things that don't seem significant at that time because really you're trying to even figure out if it's even a real business, right? If there is the
yeah,
clients for it, etc. So that's usually how you start, and then next thing you know, you're like in this place where like, oh my God, like what do I do now? Like I can't keep going that way, right? And that's when I come
yeah.
in. But because I had already went through all of that with my previous
Ye
business, I was like, I'm doing things different this time. And I'm gonna make sure that my systems are in place,
Yep,
that everything that I need, to have in the back end, in my marketing, everything that I need to be able to support me so I can support my clients, like all of that, it's done. So
yeah.
I spent a few months working on that, just really understanding like my offers, what I wanted to offer, how I wanted to frame that in a way where it makes sense for the client, but it also makes sense for me.
Did you streamline your offers? Do you feel like it was like you were offering everything in your first initial kind of VA business and then you streamlined it down a lot within your current studio?
I think it was more as in there wasn't a structure offers in my first studio. It was a matter of like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And I was just taking anybody in.
Yeah,
Because again, like all I care about was like making sure I made the 10K months and like,
yeah, yeah.
so I was like, I was taking anyone in and do you know how many times I'll be on a sales call and they'll be like, yeah, like I'm looking for this and this and this and this and that, whatever. And I'll be like, yeah, I can do that for
Oh,
this much money. Like I had not, like, there was
yeah,
not process behind it. There
right.
was not like thinking. It was just like,
And if
and
I
like
say yes
everything
to
was just a
that,
number.
what is it gonna mean for the
Exactly.
team and for the capacity and for being
And I
yeah,
had no idea. I had
yeah,
no clue. Like I was just winging it. And then we'll start doing the work. I was like, I didn't even freaking make money out of this. I
yeah.
was talking to I recently hired a bookkeeper, which I'm very proud of
Hey,
myself.
look at you.
Because the one part I hear about business is finances. It just
Uh-huh.
I'm great at everything, but that
Yep,
that
yep, yep,
part
yep. Someone
that
else
part of my
can
brain,
manage that,
yeah,
thanks.
someone else can manage that. So I hired a bookkeeper and I was talking to her and I was like, I made so much money. I don't know where that money went.
Where is it? Yeah,
Where is it? Because
yeah,
it's not in my bank account. Like,
yeah. I think
and
you were doing what a lot of service providers or, maybe not a lot, but when those of you listening who are good at selling and who kind of just naturally are gonna, like, reach out to people or post about what you're doing and people are just gonna hire you, right? There are
mhm,
people like that. If that happens to you, you're gonna be saying yes to all of these containers and just slapping a price on it and doing
yep,
whatever, but the reality of understanding what is your actual as the founder, your actual hourly rate, and how much are you charging for various containers, and what is the actual scope, like, the slow down of creating an actual refined proposal so that it's measured against your capacity, your what you actually want to do and want to work on is such a critical part. I think that for for when I'm talking to clients who are just getting started, I recommend they do the kind of boots on the ground, throw spaghetti at the walls, say yes to everything for like 5 people. But you
Mhm.
have to stop. You can't
Yeah.
keep doing that. You can't
Yeah.
build a business off of being a yes woman to everyone.
Exactly. And I think in that, again, we're talking about an era where everyone became a coach,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
it was such a, it wasn't a regulated industry. I don't think it is
It's not.
still,
It's
but
not at all.
there was just so much like out there where they were like, you need to like have them sign the proposal and like the sales call, like to make sure that you got it. Like they have to, like, it was just this like almost like bro
Yeah.
energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the
Get
industry.
people to say yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, and that's what I was doing. And like
Yeah.
I have naturally always been good at sales.
Mhm.
I don't even like sales. We already established this. I don't
I
even like
know.
sales.
I talk about this all the time too, where I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. And my friends are like, but you're really good at it. And I'm like, yeah, but
And
I
literally,
don't.
like, my
Mm.
closing ratio is insane. Like,
Yeah.
anyone that looks at my closing ratio, like, laughs at me because they're like, how? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't have a script. Like, I literally just sit there and ask you questions and I let you talk and it just happens. I don't know if
Yep.
it's an energy thing. Like, I'm huge on energy. Like, I don't know if it's the energy that I give. Like, I don't know, but my
Yeah.
closing ratio, it's
It's
insane.
high.
And
Yep.
it's been the same way when I was like looking for jobs. Like every interview I ever had, I got the job. Like
That's
I had
so
never
good.
had an interview, like a job being like, no, we don't want you. Like
Mhm.
never.
Mhm.
Um, so
It's a
when you're like,
dangerous skill to
it
have, though.
is, it
Yes.
is, it is such a dangerous skill to have because you don't realize what you're even signing up for a lot of
Right.
the times, you know? And it has happened to me at jobs where they're being like, yes, we want you. I'm like, yeah, sure, great,
Okay,
woo,
great.
awesome.
Yes.
And then it's like, what am I doing? Why am I
Yeah.
here? This is the worst job ever, you know?
Yep.
And it has happened the same way with clients.
Absolutely.
And then I learned another thing, which was I was obviously underpricing myself a lot, and when you underprice yourself, you call in the nightmare clients.
Yep.
And I will never get tired of saying this. When a client starts or prospect client starts asking you for discounts, I promise you they will be the hardest client you will
Yep.
ever work with because they are going to ask you for the moon and back
Yep.
for those 5 cents that they're paying you.
Yep.
It's insane. Like
Yep.
crazy.
Yes.
So lots of lessons learned, but yeah, overall, like back then, I just didn't.
Yeah.
There just wasn't an offer. There wasn't a structure. There was,
Yeah.
I was just like throwing spaghetti on the wall and hope it's sick. I'm like, yeah, it's this much, and
It'll
if
be
they
fine.
said
Yeah.
yes, it
Exactly.
will be fine. I'll figure it
You're
out.
getting charged
And
this rate, they're getting charged this rate. Yeah. Mhm.
it
I
was
know.
chaos for sure.
What is your plan for support? Are you gonna expand your team again this time?
Yes, absolutely. This time with this studio, I'm doing things a little different when it comes to the service that I'm offering. Back then, I was only offering virtual assistant support, project management, like very like backend operation support. But one thing that I learned through my clients and through my own business is that your brand marketing, like your positioning, your marketing, and your backend all has to work together.
Mhm.
And so many times it doesn't, or most of the time it doesn't, because
Mhm.
you have a team or an agency that's doing your marketing, and you probably did your brand once when you built, you started your business, and you have not
Yep.
touched that ever again, and just like we as human beings, we evolve, our businesses evolve too. And then you have your backend operations, which you either don't have anything going on or you have something going on, but it's not really aligned and connected with your positioning. So many people just think about their backend operations as just like the systems and tech that you just need to have, to be able to run your business in a
Right.
way. But you don't understand that like that your backend operations, it's the direct connection with your client. Like that
Yeah.
is the client experience. That's what your
Yeah.
clients are seeing. It's not like, oh, you're saving time by like not having to manually email your clients, during their onboarding process. Those emails, those
Are being
steps
seen.
are being seen by
Yes.
your clients. That
Yes.
is a direct connection with your clients. So when your onboarding process, when your backend systems, when like the bread and butter of your business, it's completely disconnected from your brand and your positioning, and it's completely disconnected with your marketing, which is what your clients are seeing and why they're hiring you. Then your clients are
Yep.
like there's confusion, right? Like
Yeah.
clients don't know what's going on. Like they're like, okay, I hired this person because I got this vibe from their marketing. Like I like their positioning. I like what they represent. But then they hire them, and the entire like working relationship and the process and the frameworks
Doesn't match.
don't match that.
Yep.
So then they don't, renew a contract, or they don't stay. They don't hire you again.
They
They
don't
don't.
refer
They don't
you.
talk about you. And like
Yep.
when I told you, like with the Moonlight Studio, like 80 to 85% of my clients, by the time that I was like a year and a half, 2 years in, were referrals. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I was doing not like I was barely showing up on social media because I didn't have time.
Right.
I will show up on stories, and that was about it, but I didn't have time to create content. I didn't. That's Reels weren't like a big thing back then, but lives, remember
Yeah.
lives where like
Yes. Oh my
everyone was
gosh.
doing
Yep.
lives? I'm like, I don't have time for this. Um, Back then, I one of my main things were launching. Like I was managing all of my coaching clients'
Yeah.
launches, and they were launching all the time. So
Yep.
I never had time for anything. I had never had time for my own marketing and for my, my own sales. So like
Yep.
at some point, like we got to a point that like everyone that was booking, referral, that was booking discovery calls, were either because they were referred by a previous client, or because they had been following me for before. They see my stories and they were like, okay, like I'm ready. Um, but it wasn't because I was actively like selling on my story on my Instagram. Like I will post on my stories every so often, like these are my services and blah blah
Yeah.
blah, you know. And the
Remind
reason,
people what you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the reason why that was happening is because, well, I was going absolutely insane. My systems, like my client facing, everything was on point. Like
Yeah.
everything was branded. Like every client that signed up with me like I will mail them a client gift that was like
Oh,
on brand. Like
yeah.
everything was like like my branding was so strong and everything was so well thought out. That's why clients stayed. That's
Yep.
why they refer me. That's why they talked about me,
Yep.
because I was great. I saved them so much time. I saved them their sanity. And it
And they
was an
enjoyed
intense
working with you.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a
Yeah.
whole experience from the moment that they found me on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever to working with us. Everything was cohesive. It wasn't
Yep.
that they were seeing someone online and then when they worked with me, it was a completely different experience.
Yep.
Everything was cohesive.
It's funny
So,
that we're talking about this today because
mhm,
I literally just spent time this morning. I blocked it out on my calendar because in the same sense that you're saying when you're busy working with a bunch of clients, especially doing one-on-one stuff, you forget about your own business and
mhm,
your own marketing or your own branding or your own client experience or whatever. And so I try every so often to look at my week ahead and block out hours of my schedule for me to treat myself like a client.
yeah.
And so this morning was one of those times. So I spent a couple hours. I took what was previously a one email onboarding, just like, thank you for being a part of this, container. Here's your onboarding form. When you fill out your onboarding form, here's what happens next. And when they fill their onboarding form, they get another email from me. And so they get
Mhm,
more communication. But that first email, I was like, there is a ton of information I need to be sending them that would feel really overwhelming for me to put in this email. What if
mhm,
I like welcome them over the course of a couple of days and
yeah.
like ask for information here and then point them in the right direction and then show them how they can get support from all of these different angles and why they might prefer one over the other and truly like have a concierge level of experience. I
Mhm,
came from the in-person service world. I was a photographer. That was my very first business starting out. And when I started learning about marketing and selling, I've told this story a bunch of times, but I paid more attention to instead of getting better at my craft. So instead of buying a new camera or a new lens or just new equipment or learning how to edit differently, instead of doing that, which is what everyone does, I was like, how can I make people feel a certain way when they work with me? And as soon as I started to tap into an emotional connection with my clients, they started spending all of the money. I was doing
Yep.
the same thing and I didn't get any better at my skill. And I made a crap ton more money. And
Yep.
so from now on, and sometimes it's hard for us to think about in the digital space, how can we create those same emotional connections and
Yep.
sensory connections digitally? And
Yep.
I love that that's something that you help your people prioritize as well.
Yeah, because like again, people don't buy because they need a service. There is a thousand other people that they could have chose.
Yep.
They bought from you because of the connection that they made with you. For
Yep.
whatever the reason might be, it might have been the conversation, it might have been again, it might have been your marketing, it might have been the way you position your business. But when it comes to the backend systems, people
Yeah.
forget about that. And then on the other end, you have, a lot of businesses, a lot of service providers, a lot of coaches, a lot of creatives. They set up the systems the way their business coach,
Right.
told them they should set it up, which is the way that they set it up for themselves. And they don't understand that it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're a business coach and you're a business coach, it doesn't mean you have the same client experience. It doesn't mean your business have to be set up the same way. You don't have to be using the same CRM system because you're two different companies, you're two individuals,
Yep.
and it's not gonna make sense.
Well,
And
and
they end
even
up setting
from someone who's an expert at the service versus your client. One of the best hacks I did this year was one of my biz besties here who's local. She's at a completely different stage of business than I am, but she is very like systems oriented and helps me
Mhm,
kind of I just like verbal process with her and she'll kind of help me
mhm,
be like, okay, here's what you should do. But she's at a completely different stage of business. So she's enrolled in one of my core containers. And we had a chat today. We were on Zoom for like 2 hours because I was just yapping about my client experience, basically.
mhm.
And I was coming at her with an example of something that was frustrating me. And like, I don't understand why this isn't being done by my clients inside of my container. And she goes, oh, here's why. And like her perspective completely shifted because I'm
Yep.
coming at it looking at it from an expert angle. I know the thing. I know how important or why it's important to begin with. They might not know that. She was like, I
Mhm.
think if you just made a Loom video explaining this piece and then sent it here, like that would completely change it. I was like, oh, okay, you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
get someone else's perspective.
yes, and that it's like another thing that nobody does. You set up your systems and then you never look at them again.
Yeah.
And again, your business evolves. 9 times out of 10, the first time that you set up your business, whether that is, your marketing strategy or your branding or your backend operational systems, you're setting them up from your perspective as
Yep.
a business owner. But that doesn't mean that that's going to speak to your client,
Right.
right? So with Ignite Studio, what we do for our retainer clients is that quarterly we are reviewing, we're looking at the data. We're very data driven, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at the data. Like we go through the onboarding process and we're like, okay, like where where is there a disconnect? Like, is there, something that we're providing to the clients and then the clients are coming back asking because like they don't understand. Like, we're looking at all this, we're looking at the feedback. We always ask for feedback. I don't know
Yeah.
why people are scared of asking for feedback from the clients. Ask them. Like, there's nothing that people love more than being involved. And I feel like there is this misconception, especially in our industry, that if you ask, clients for feedback on your business, then you're seem like unprofessional or like you don't know what you're doing or you don't got it together.
Hmm.
And that's not true. But as a
Right.
business, you're going to grow and you're going to evolve. And the only way that you can truly serve your clients is by listening to what they
Yep.
want and
Well,
what they need,
and what I
you
see
know?
from clients is that they're afraid to ask for that feedback because they're afraid that something's gonna be broken or misunderstood or it's going to be negative feedback. And
Mhm.
that is like literally the point of feedback is to implement and improve and make something better.
Exactly. And it's like, I feel like it needs to be reframed to it's not negative feedback, it's a step forward for
Yeah.
your business, right?
Yeah.
It's that might be like that feedback that that client told you about your backend might be the thing that makes all your other clients stay
Exactly.
or refer you
Yep.
because it clicked, right?
Yep.
There's going to be a moment where it's going to click. But before that, it's going to be a lot of trial and error. And it's like
Yep.
that for your sales funnel. It's like that for your marketing strategy, your social media strategy, your email campaigns. Like it's a lot of trial and error until you find the formula. And that formula might work for a year, for a few months, and then you have to adjust
You
again
gotta
because
revisit it again because
because things keep
business
moving.
evolves. Yep. Yep.
Business evolve, you change. Like there's so many times that clients are so feel so disconnected with their business or the reason why they started their business now it's like they don't feel that passion and it's because they are as human beings we are evolving and
Yeah.
when you're the center of your business has to evolve with you
Yep.
as
Yep.
simple as that.
Yep. Okay, I love this. I love this conversation so much. So as we wrap up, I want to kind of hear your takeaways from someone who's started a business, saw immense success, burned it all down because of how it made you feel. Valid. And then started again. What outside of making sure you have a clear system and container, what are the lessons that you would really recommend to another service provider who's in that kind of pivot of like, yeah, I'm over capacity and I can't keep going like this. Something has to change. What are the areas that you would have them look at?
First of all, you can be afraid of change and you can be afraid to pivot. So many people are in this situation because they feel like it's working, like I'm getting clients, it's happening, and they're afraid that if they change something, then the flow of clients going to stop.
Yep.
Um, I think first and foremost, like you have to accept where you're at
Yeah.
and accept that it's not working and accept that something has to change and don't be afraid. Understand that it might not have results right away. There might be a ramp up period, but at the end of the day, you have to really connect with yourself and like be honest with yourself and know like, okay, this is what I need to do. And then you have to look at all of like I call the your brand, marketing, and operations as like the three main pillars of your business. And you just have to
Mm.
audit them one by one.
Yep.
And it's gonna take time, you have to ask yourself like deep questions because you have to figure out where the disconnect is from you. And it's
Yep.
gonna be different. Like there's not a perfect formula, right? Like for me, it wasn't so much that I didn't have systems in place. I was the issue. I was the problem.
Yeah.
I couldn't delegate. I was so afraid to delegate. I was afraid that like the people, that I hire wouldn't do as a good of a job as me. I had no idea how finances worked. So I had no idea what my cash flow was like. I didn't know that I needed to charge more to be able to maintain my team. So you have to audit every single part of your business, audit your finances. So you have a full understanding of your cash flow, audit your brand. When was the last time you looked at
Yeah.
your positioning? When was the last time do you need to update that area? Your back end, like you might have an onboarding process because that's the one thing that everyone tends to have. But, do you have processes that support you taking vacation,
Yeah.
supports you taking a weekend off?
Yep.
If you have a team, do you have, like, I'm working, I sent a proposal for a client last week for a prospect client for a team onboarding process because she was hiring but then she felt like, it wasn't having like the team member wasn't being successful, and he kept
Mhm.
having to come back to her asking, like she just kept
Yep.
being the
And
bottleneck,
did you
right?
support them in being successful? Yeah.
Exactly. But she
Mhm.
realized, like, hey, I had no onboarding process. I hired them and throw them to the wolves,
Yep.
right? So, like, is that the area? Like, do you have a team, but it still feel overwhelmed because they don't have the tools to be able to support your business? They don't have the tools for you to take a week off and they
Yep.
manage your business. So you have to just do an audit, and it's gonna take time for you to sit down, journal about it, write on computer,
Yep.
have
Look at
whatever
the
works for
data.
you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
look at the data. Like look at your numbers. Like sometimes we feel like, yeah, we're being super successful. We have all these clients, but are you retaining your clients? Are they
Right.
saying, are they bringing you referrals? Are you constantly having to sell and get new clients to be able to hit your revenue numbers?
Yep.
Like, look at the data. The answer is always going to be in the data.
Yep.
People are just afraid to look at it, or they don't have time to look at it,
Yep.
and they don't realize the importance of it, right? So it's just really going to be auditing your business to be
Yep.
able to figure out where the disconnect is, where the gap is, and be able to dictate with this data, all right, what's going to be my next step.
Yep. Love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I loved getting to nerd out and talk over these things with you. If you want to tell the listeners where they can hang out with you online, learn more from you, work with you, all that good stuff, where can they go?
Yes. So all my social media, it's Ignite Studio. That's Ignite with a Y. So IGNYTE. There we go. I can spell. I am mostly on Threads. That's where you can find me yapping because I'm a yapper, as you can see. You can find me yapping there a lot, and then obviously on Instagram. Those are the main two. On our website is Ignite, spelled the same way, studio.com. I'm always open for a coffee chat. I'm always open. Like my DMs are open if you have any questions. Not pressure. I'm not gonna be like, hey, it's $100 to talk to me. No, like I'm really here to support everyone and to hopefully allow people to not go through what I went through.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's all we're trying to prevent.
That's
Okay.
all we're trying to do.
Amazing. Well, and I will have all of those links in the show notes for you guys as well, so you guys
Yep.
can go check those out and hang out online. Thank you so much for being here. I
Thank
really, really
you.
loved it.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Sell the Damn Service. I'm really honored that you spent however many minutes you just did with me. Now, if you could go do me a very quick favor and be sure to like, subscribe, leave a rating and a review for this podcast over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or, pick your favorite platform. I'm not going to be that choosy. It truly means the world to me. It's how little tiny shows that are like mine, that are self-funded and, being edited in between dinner time and school pickup, it helps us get seen. It's free for you to do and takes just a couple of minutes. And I would love you forever. If I could send you an edible arrangement as a big thank you, I would. So instead, consider this giant thank you directed just at you for going to do that. And share this episode or this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it. I love ranting and raving about service-based business strategies. And, I think more people should listen to this show, honestly. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really, really, really am grateful that you're here, and we will chat very soon.